The mind can ramble off in strange ways.
You're in for a real treat.
Punchlines Podcast.
Your next comic has been on the Jay Leno Show, David Letterman. Please welcome the very funny Mitch Fatel.
Punchlines Podcast.
Oh, that guy's fucking hilarious.
Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve.
Punchlines.
Yep, we're going.
All right, welcome back, or I guess not welcome back, but
You like saying welcome back. So I
well,
think you
because
could do
I'm
that.
assuming that everyone's listening the week before.
All right, I mean, we could do
Or
welcome
they could
back.
be popping in between commercials.
Yeah,
You know? Just,
maybe let me introduce you first before you start talking, okay?
all right, boss. Okay, boss.
Just playing. Punchlines Podcast. Corey Sandhagen, Mitch Fatel.
We've done 16 of these and he still doesn't know my last name.
And don't give me that look, dude.
Here's another test.
Yeah. And an exciting guest, Justin Gaethje. Before we get into it, I noticed in your bathroom that you have Cottonelle baby wipes.
Baby wipes.
Are you a baby wipe guy?
No, although I do use them sometimes. I had a guest one time, and he bought a package for every bathroom in my house.
Yeah.
Because we did a podcast with Gertz, and Gertz uses a bidet. So
Bidet.
maybe it's just a thing where really tough
No.
guys like really clean
No, I don't
assholes.
Have you ever used a bidet?
I haven't, but I've been to a few places with bidets.
It's heaven.
And I've turned it on, and yeah, I didn't jump on there.
Oh, it's
I didn't
wonderful,
jump on
dude.
for
You
the
got to
ride.
try
I wasn't
it.
sure about it.
No, yeah.
I was just in Morocco, actually, and there's a lot of bidets out there.
Get on a bidet, tape it, and then it'll be on your highlight reel next when you see what it does to you.
I don't know. I think you're afraid you might like it.
So does it make a mess?
No, it keeps you really clean and it feels delightful.
Yeah, those are my main
I didn't think
questions.
I'd ever like it. I can't believe this is our second podcast talking about bidets. We got
you
Justin
really like
Gaethje
it.
here, and we're talking about bidets. I just want you to know we're the only people wasting our time, which freaking McGregor and Cerrone fought yesterday, but we're talking about bidets with
I'll use one day.
Justin. It's
I'm sure.
awesome, dude. I promise you'll love it. Yeah. Although this leads us into it. Fighters don't mind pain, so you probably, although an itchy butt, no one wants that.
Yeah, no one wants it.
I mean, I've practiced for a long time. I feel like I clean my butt pretty well.
I hope so.
Yeah. All right. Just saying, use a bidet. We're going to cut this whole part out because this is embarrassing.
Yeah, what are you getting a million questions about the Conor McGregor cowboy thing? Probably,
yeah,
huh?
that's definitely a lot of. I was at a wrestling tournament over here. I went to the high school over here, watched some kid wrestling this morning, and yeah, that's a lot of the questions I'm getting is, am I going to fight him next? But ultimately, that dude makes his own decisions, and I think he has more confidence now. He needed a win. So yeah, I think maybe he'll fight me now.
Yeah, so beyond that, I don't really want to talk about that specifically. I'm actually really interested and curious about your take on kind of, and also how you deal with it, because I sometimes struggle with it too. Just kind of the logistical entertainment part with fighting and how, because it seems like, McGregor, if they consider him for a shot, which I don't think he will, but either way, it must be like frustrating to kind of be overlooked by a business you've given a lot to, yeah?
Yeah, in a way it is. I'm not necessarily being overlooked. I'm in the conversation. I lost 2 times, not that long ago. And unfortunately, that set me back, and that allows these people to have an argument or a case when it comes to the argument or comes to this circumstance. But, coming from a wrestling background, 4 years old, I started wrestling, and, that's the farthest thing that you're concentrating or thinking about, as a competitor, as a wrestler growing up. Like I said, I was watching it this morning, and none of it's entertainment over there. It's all competition, and so yeah, it does suck to compete as hard as I do and to put as much as I do into it, and to maybe have the situation come along where I do get passed along because of money or politics. But at the end of the day, if you do keep winning, and if I keep winning, I'm going to fight again. If I win, if I knock somebody out again, they can't deny me. After 2 more wins, 3 more wins, because those 2 losses are just get farther and farther away.
Yeah.
That's what it's business. That as a fighter, you have to understand that it is business. So you have to put yourself in a position to, I can put it like poker. You have to have a strong hand whenever you're gonna, you're gonna be in there.
Yeah.
So. You can't go to war whenever you don't really necessarily have the cards, because you're going to lose every time. But when you do have the cards, you have to go to war for yourself, because again, politics and a lot of these things can ultimately not allow you to become a superstar or to make the amount of money that you should have or could have made. Out of your and it would go out of your hands, which sucks.
But isn't it weird? I mean, me and Corey always talk about that. You start out just wrestling and going to tournaments and stuff, and then all of a sudden you realize that you're now in a business, and the business is bigger than you. That suddenly, like, your talent doesn't really necessarily say where you're going to get to. That me and Corey always talk about that. Like, for me as a comedian, I'm a great comedian, but I'm not really good at social media. So all of a sudden I'm having a hard time now selling a special, whereas I would have been able to sell it. And you kind of go, okay, but that's just it's a frustration that comes along with the fact that you understand now you're also now in a show.
I think life is crazy in that, like, it's all about, like, circumstances. Like, a lot of people have the skill, or maybe not the skill, but the work ethic per se that maybe we have. But, like, Conor McGregor was the reason he is a superstar the way he is a superstar is because of a set of circumstances and that he capitalized on.
Right.
13-second knockout, his brashness, the way he talks, his accent.
Right.
Alone.
That comes along and makes...
all of that is like,
Yeah.
It's just like a perfect storm. And he came along at the right time when Ronda Rousey went out, and we were kind of looking for a superstar. The sport was looking for a superstar. And it was just a perfect storm for him. And he took advantage of it, and in a circumstance like that, like, he deserves a lot of credit because he made it work. But, a lot of people that have the skill, the hard work, they get passed up because they maybe didn't take the chance whenever the opportunity was presented, or they weren't ready at that moment.
Or maybe they just simply don't have a certain excitement that people need to see. Like,
you might not have the skills, but if you don't have the skills, then whatever, then you're not going to make it. But we're talking about, even if you do have the skills, only a percentage of people make it. A top,
right?
1%, 2%. Where we're at right now, not a lot of people are going to make it to here, but they deserve it.
Yeah.
But we are, luckily our lives are working out, and we got certain circumstances, and we won at those times.
Yeah.
And to be a superstar, like, you have to win, and you have to have something special. And for me, I hope that knocking people out is my something special, because I can't, sell myself per se and become a different person on camera and a different person off camera, because I wouldn't be, I'm not. It takes a lot of intelligence to be able to do something like that, for one.
Yeah.
To be able to keep that act up is going to take a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of concentration away from what I want to do. And ultimately, I just love the competition. So I think that it will probably, could hurt me in the long run. Just not wanting to take that route. I should have been, I could have been there last night. Could have been front row. I could have made a scene. But I don't know. Maybe I'll miss an opportunity because I wasn't there.
And it's interesting.
But,
we don't usually talk about the fights, but we couldn't not talk about it because we always talk about the entertainment value of it. And what I said to Corey was,
well, we're talking about the business side right now,
right? But the entertainment value of it is this: Connor's worth billions of dollars to that company.
He's a superstar. Did you see the people that walked in that building last night?
Right.
See the people that were tweeting, like, it's undeniable he's a superstar, and the sport is better for it.
And I think that was the fear. The fear is that if you're the next person, if you go in there and you dismantle them, then their cash cow is done forever at that point.
I think it was perfect. I think it was a bitch move that he took it, and that's just coming from a straight competitor, because, the guy came off, he's coming off losses too, and that's his argument when you say, hey, you're going to fight someone coming off losses. But he's talking about title contention or title shots, and you can't fight that you can't fight him, and people are gonna be like, you're saying it was a bitch move, so you're pretty much saying that you were a bitch for taking that fight, but it was a whole different set of circumstances at the time. He was the only guy for me to fight that was ahead of me. That wasn't the case for Conor. I was there, I was ready, I could have fought last night, and he didn't take that. So those circumstances are different, and the argument is invalid.
Yeah. So, because Corey is always fascinating, because I always ask Corey questions from a fan's standpoint, and I'll ask him about his walkout song, or I'll ask him about his speech afterwards. And Corey's always like, I don't even really know about that stuff or think about it. It's weird to me that that's important. I was like, but you guys don't understand. Like, there's a whole show going on around that the average fan is interested in.
No, and it's not even that. So I'm interested in it. He's interested in it, but it's when we're there. When he was in Washington D.C., he got to really see it from a different standpoint. When you're there to corner somebody, you get to see how much is going on. Like, it's crazy how much is going on. How much UFC, how many people are working on the product. At the end of the day, what's going on TV? How many people are putting that? They have to come together to make that happen, to get the fighters in the cage. We're all prima donnas. We all think we're special. We all like to think we should be treated special. So they have the UFC is crazy. The machine, it's a machine.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's super interesting to see from both sides, as a fighter, as a fan, and then being able to get in the middle right there and see, like, kind of try to see what the hell's going on from a kind of an unbiased perspective is pretty cool.
Did you see a big difference coming to the UFC from the World Series of Fighting, and what was the main difference that you saw?
I mean, so I think it's like any business. I think the bigger you get, the more of a machine that you have. It was the same machine at the World Series of Fighting, but when you got to the UFC, it's just a
bigger version,
much bigger, much bigger process going on.
Yeah, and that didn't overwhelm you at all. You were able to handle that.
Yeah, it was. No, nothing about that would. You can't let many things distract you or worry about too many things, like when it comes to how big the show is, because at the end of the day, when the cage closes, when the fight starts, it's the same as your first amateur fight.
Right.
So you don't put too much into that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's an interesting point, because I think one of the things because on our show we try to keep it, for me at least, I try to keep it where, all right, how am I going to talk about performance in a way where it's going to help other fighters better themselves, or whoever it is listening, stand-up comedians, whoever it may be. So can you kind of walk me through the steps? Because anyone that watches your fights is going to say that you fight with no fear, right? Yeah. So, like, has it always been like that, or was that something that you just gained from wrestling, or is it something,
Or is that your alter ego?
No, it's not. I think it's something that I taught myself, something that you learn. I wrestled for 18 years, 18 years straight. I did not take a year off. I played other sports as well. I didn't wrestle year round, but I wrestled every year. And you learn, and I wrestled at the highest level that you can as an amateur, which is the NCAA Division I. I was an All-American. But to be able to even have a chance to compete there, you have to believe in yourself, and you have to. So every day I walk into a practice, it was like I have to break somebody or I have to break. And I broke many times, over and over again. And what are you scared of? You're scared of breaking. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason you're fearful when you step into any process, because you think you might fail.
Right.
And you might, and then in fighting, you think you might fail because of, there's a couple different reasons: a lack of preparation, lack of effort, and those things are inside and things that you can control. So. Right. So to not be able to have control of those things and then lose, like, kills you. So as a wrestler, I just learned, competing, that there's certain things I can control, there's certain things I can't control, and to never put anything into the things that I can't control.
So breaking yourself over and over and failing over and over and over again helped. Failing in the training room.
But then understanding that failure, every time I failed, I woke up the next morning. Like, ultimately, it's just a game, what we're playing. It's just a game. Luckily we get paid for it, but it's just a game. Yeah. Our life depends on it. Just a game. So I never get too high, never too low with my emotions, and that's how I do it. I guess I say I don't put too. I mean, I don't have any emotions. I'm not happy. I'm not scared. I'm not fearful.
Yeah.
When I'm fighting,
Yeah.
or ever.
So you don't put a lot of value on it, where it's like, if I win, I'm not going to be crazy excited. If I lose, I'm not going to get crazy sad.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you get too high when you win, you're going to get too low when you lose. And you know, there's a yin and a yang. You know, it's the way of life. And so I think if you allow yourself to get too high, you know. When you say like Ronda Rousey, it sounds like I'm being demeaning and being, you know, talking shit.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying she allowed herself to get too high, you know, in her own head. She allowed herself to believe in the hype, when the hype was that she was infallible and nobody will ever become infallible.
Right.
And that's impossible.
Yeah.
So whenever it didn't happen, you know, she was not able to process that and to accept it. I think Conor McGregor might be. You know, I said he was like, when I said he was like, he might be the next Ronda Rousey. I didn't mean it like in a bad way towards Ronda Rousey. I just meant like you may have dug yourself too deep of a hole now. Like, because when you lose, you know, how do you face yourself in the mirror when you've been fake? You know, all this is fake. You know, because I know that you're not that bad of a man behind closed doors. So, you know, but he's a much different person right now. I think, you know, he's young enough to still make that change and, you know.
Yeah, well, I would say, too, just like piggybacking that idea is that is like a really big thing, because the more value you give to your wins, the more value you also give to your losses. So the wins, as high as you let yourself get, are going to, on the other pendulum, they're going to swing the other way, where if you're letting those wins get you really high, then those losses are going to get you really low too. And I'm a big believer of that too. I don't like to get too high or too low on anything.
It's again, you know, with money, if you get a lot of money and you put too much behind it, when you don't have money, you know, that's when people become ultimately like super depressed and commit, you know, think about committing suicide, you know, make bad decisions because they put too much into money or a sense of security, you know, when ultimately that wasn't ever that important.
Yeah. So what is it for you that's important then?
It's the same. So that's why I wasn't there last night, because I don't know. I just want I don't know if I want what he has. You know, like, I don't know if I want to be that big of a superstar. I want to make the money, but I really don't know if, because that's a lot of
it's a responsibility,
a
almost.
lot of energy that has to go into that. So yeah.
So but I mean, and am I right in saying that you love fighting? Because I don't think you can fight in the style that you fight unless you absolutely love it.
Yeah, I love it.
And what is it about that you love?
I don't know, man. It's
I think someone asked you this after one of your fights one time, and you kind of just looked at the camera and you shook your head, and I'm just like, in like a little bit of a creepy way, you go, I just love this way too much. You know? I remember that interview.
Like I said, wrestling at 4, like I always loved it. I always loved going to the table, checking in. You know, trying to see, you would look over there, it'd be a guy that looked about your size, and he looked like he was getting ready, so you're about to, like, oh, that's probably the guy I'm about to wrestle.
Yeah.
And then you walked out there, and then you competed, and then you walked off, and it was over, and you moved on to the next match. So it's just crazy.
Was it just that you wanted to see what you're capable of doing in this life? Because I always think that's what kind of drives me to keep getting up every morning.
I don't even know if this was my choice, ultimately. You know, I got put in wrestling at 4 years old.
Yeah.
So, and I loved it. But, you know, so I don't know if this was necessarily my choice. You know, as parents, you try to steer your kids in the direction that they're going to prosper the most. And I think my parents did a good job at, you know, putting me in a physical aspect. You know, fighting wasn't even a factor when I was a kid, so they didn't obviously think I was going to become a fighter and make, you know, a living doing something like this.
Right.
But, yeah, I don't know. It was just...
Yeah, I don't know either. I was reading in a book recently. I forget which book it was. It was like, I think some poetry book, but it talked about those that love something for indescribable reasons don't ask other people why they love something, because they know that it's for some indescribable reason.
Yeah, It's
it was said much more
like
poetically
you said, you
than
see
that.
it.
Yeah.
You know, I've never said it. I don't need to say it, because humans recognize effort. It's the easiest thing to recognize.
Yeah. It's sometimes what I feel is like, and it's interesting because there's two things that you brought up that I thought were really interesting. The first thing is sometimes I feel like I'm trying to outrun a feeling of low self-esteem, and that's why I work so hard at things. I think sometimes, like for a long time, I was doing that, and that's when you can't really enjoy the moment. I feel like I was when I was on the most TV shows and when I was selling the most seats, I was at my most miserable, I think, because I kept waiting for it to end instead of just enjoying the moment.
Yeah,
And
I mean, that's a problem.
Yeah, it's a big problem. Yeah, and even this podcast helps me figure a lot of that out. What's interesting is you said that you didn't let the highs get too high or the lows get too low, but yet I thought it was really interesting that you were undefeated as a pro right up until you got into the UFC. So you forgot, I'm assuming, what it was like to lose. That must have been.
I mean, if you were to watch my interviews before, every interview, or I consistently said I will lose, I will get knocked out. Like I wrestled for too long to think that I'm unbreakable or infallible. Or, for one, so I just try to become okay with every circumstance. The worst possible circumstances. Say Ben Askren or what happened to Donald last night. That's the worst possible circumstance. But if you can become okay with that through, and be confident that you prepared and that you couldn't have done anything else, then there's nothing to be scared of. So
yeah.
That's
So when you got your first loss, then when you got to the UFC, you had your first win. So at that point, I'm assuming you're telling me that there's not even a sense that you started going like, wow, I'm going to be the best ever, because even when I got to the UFC, I'm still
So I thought it was best, but so even today, when I get in another opponent, it won't be false or, but I will think he's better than me. I will think he's working harder than me, consistently, and I will put myself through, what I need to put myself through to give myself the best chance to be my best and beat him in the competition, and then I break it down, it's, so I get an opponent, I fight him in 12 weeks. 12 weeks is, 100 and some days, and then you break it down to hours, minutes. It's 1,600 minutes, or 60, 70, 80,000 minutes, and then I just try to be good every minute. Or
okay.
And if I fuck up for the 1 minute or 1 day, then I'd be better the next day, because I got, now it's 64,000. There's 1,600 minutes in a day.
Right.
So whatever that is.
Yeah.
I usually have it written down somewhere. Whenever I do find a fight, I'll just keep it simple and say, if don't beat myself up today if I have had a bad day, because tomorrow's a new day, and I don't have to be great for 25 minutes at a time. Yeah. I don't have to be great any other time. 50 minutes a year, possibly 75 minutes a year is when I need to be great.
Yeah.
So just be ready for that.
So it's interesting. So you probably helped out a lot of people by saying that. So because you're obviously one of the best fighters of all time, and you do that every time you're going to get a fight. Now you say, these are how many minutes I have to get to that fight.
Yeah, it's not even so I'll write it down, but I don't. It's an internal thing. It's just a way of life for me. I try to make that every day. If try to be good, try to be your best, and if you're not, then do better tomorrow. And ultimately, it seems so simple. Yeah. But it's not that simple. And but I try to simplify everything. Everything.
Yeah.
Just try to keep it simple.
And so, how did you deal with those first two losses after they came in the UFC? There wasn't any doubt seeped in at all that you weren't as good as you thought you were? Because I think that's what
I was going to say earlier was. So when you have to become okay with everything, a part of that is becoming okay with fate or luck or, something like that. And that's hard to be okay with. Yeah. It's almost impossible to become okay with what we do, because you're like, fuck that. That's not a factor. It's about whether I'm better or not. But ultimately, there's a little bit of luck in what we do. So you have to be okay with that as well.
But there's luck in everything. I mean, it's,
yeah, but preparation too. You have to be ready for when you can get lucky, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, you alluded to it. So you're a big, the stars got to line up for certain things to happen.
Yeah, and you got to be ready when the stars do align, because you will be presented with opportunities, and you can't be too cocky about it, because a lot of people miss opportunities because of that. Yeah, because they're their head's too big.
But Justin, your style had worked for you for so long, so. after you get into the UFC and then for the first time having 2 losses like that, you don't even start to doubt maybe your style, start thinking I have to change things up, or do you just go like, well, I'll just see if it's going to work in the next one? Or
so when I lost those 2 fights, I was like, well, I lost both of those fights the exact same way. I thought I was, maybe I wasn't winning on the scorecards. That's irrelevant. But I thought I was winning. And if it was a street fight, I was winning because they were damaged.
Right.
And I wasn't necessarily until they landed those shots.
Yeah.
So I lost the fights the same exact way. So then I was able to go back and say, if I, you can't get hit, because if I get hit with that right shot, then the fight's over, and I can't keep, punching you or hitting you. And I hit so hard, my bones are so dense. So all I gotta do is, pick my shots better. And I honestly never had a thought or question much. Me and Trevor didn't necessarily have a conversation. I've never had a conversation about if I'm gonna fight different.
Yeah.
I was just like, I can't get hit like that. So I've been more patient, and then I understood how hard I hit. And so I just thought I would go in there and try to be a little bit more patient and not get hit. And yeah, it's worked out so far.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I would argue that your style has changed a little bit since those fights. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's changed a ton. Maybe not your mentality, but definitely your style has changed a little.
My
yeah,
mentality. So it's not even that I changed. Like, I was 18-0. I wanted to change, but I couldn't because it was
right. It's working for you.
If it's not broken, you can't fix it. So I was like, this is it. This is the answer.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, change. I'm like, I'm undefeated. What are you talking about? I'm finishing everybody.
Yeah.
Out of my 21 wins, I have 17 or 18 knockouts or TKOs or knockouts. 19 finishes out of my 21 wins. So I was like, what are you talking about? But then luckily I lost.
And then
I think it's the best thing that did happen to me.
So many fighters say that.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, man, because look how great you've been doing recently too, where you're not only knocking people out now, but you're like not taking any damage. Yeah.
And I'd be a fool to say that it's 100% skill because some of it's luck.
Sure.
And so, yeah, it's cool. It's cool the way it works. It's cool. It's a cool ride. And luckily I have a chance to, again, 1% of people are going to have a chance.
Yeah.
But I have a chance to experience the pinnacle of this, the life that I picked.
Which is what? Winning a world championship?
Which is fighting on the biggest cards, 4 world championships on the biggest stage. Ultimately, when they finish this Raiders Stadium, they're going to have a UFC fight there one day, and I want to fight right in the middle there with 100,000 people there. So
nice.
Things like that, that's what I'm here for, is that kind of like, I want that feeling. I love fear. I want that feeling. I want to walk out into 100,000 people and be like, holy fuck, dude. Like, what are you doing? But that's something that I really do. Because, when it's crazy, when I'm walking out, even when you start training, it's like a big tunnel. And then, when the fight starts, it's like, whoa.
You don't hear, do you hear anything around you?
I don't hear, I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't retain.
You don't retain it after it's over.
You can't, I don't retain anything in the fight. So you retain the walkout a little bit. And you retain after, but you don't retain the fight because it's too fast.
Yeah, that's always interesting.
You can't watch something that's that fast because if you, to watch something, you have to process something. And to process something turns off your reactions.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you're fighting shadows. I fight shadows. I'm not looking or focusing on anything. I'm just fighting off my peripherals and using my, my reactions.
And your thoughts are off. You're literally just flowing so much that you're not even thinking at that point.
Yeah, I've never. No thought other than.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, I have no thoughts. Really?
If you see a look on your face, look on their face or something change, you'd be like, oh shit, I heard him, and then it's just it's back to.
Yeah, Billy Joel said that when he's playing piano, sometimes he'll stop and think to himself, look how beautifully I'm playing this piano, and all of a sudden his fingers mess up.
Yeah.
He said so he keeps his mind, he just lets it.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible? In every art, it's that flow, Yeah. Did you ever notice that flow wasn't there, that you all of a sudden were thinking about something? You're like, why am I thinking about this?
It's never happened to me in a fight, but that's it's happened to me in practice, and it's something that I have prepared for, and it will happen one day.
Yeah.
You might break a toe, and something like a nerve might get damaged, and you don't feel nothing because of adrenaline, but something like a damaged nerve you might feel because your foot might not work for 30 seconds because a nerve got hit or something. So things like that is when you process it. But Adrenaline's the best drug in the world.
So do you, does a fighter, this is probably interesting for every different fighter, does a fighter, because you have a very distinct style that, and I don't know if you know this, because I don't know if you've ever been on the other end of it, but it's probably a nightmare for a lot of people because it's every horror movie has someone being stalked by something and that thing won't stop. And I was watching your fights and I was noticing that like, it's kind of a nightmare. Like there's just wherever the person turns, you're right there. And so is that something that, did you pick the style or did the style pick you?
It definitely, well, that's just, it picked me. That's how I wrestled. And I mean,
I was going to ask you that. Did you used to wrestle like that too?
like that, yeah. I was super aggressive. I wasn't a great offensive wrestler. I just made you tired. I broke you, physically. I physically broke you. In a clinch, when you shot, I broke you. You didn't get the shot. It was super hard to take me down. But yeah, I've just been that way.
Yeah, because I remember... I don't know. We've known each other for a long time, training our garage
10 years.
For like 10 years or so. But I remember watching you in like the Ring of Fire days and being like, yeah, you were like that 10 years ago too. They used to call you the highlight, not because you were knocking people out, but because you were like tossing people in the air and stuff like crazy. Yeah. So
do you almost think that sometimes you fight in that style so that you won't have to think about it? Like I was actually watching you go, and it's so almost frenetic that it doesn't give you time to think about it. So it's almost like you don't have time to be scared.
Well, yeah, to me, that's what that is. That's what the sport is. That's what I do. So I can't even think about I don't know if I would be scared if it was the other way. I'm sure I would, because then I'd be getting stalked.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm not scared of it. I'm not scared of losing.
Yeah.
Or getting knocked out. So I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, you fight someone that fights like Gaethje, or I would even say like a little bit like me, where you're just like an inch away from getting hit the entire fight. That shit sucks.
Well, and then when you hit them and they're right there, and then their face doesn't change. Your face is the first thing that's going to tell me that you're done.
So if their face doesn't change, that's...
No, when their face changes.
And you've seen that. You could feel it.
You'll see it in their eyes. Yeah, you see it.
Corey told me...
You're a psycho, bro.
You see fear. Those are the easy things to see on someone's face.
Yeah.
Right.
Hesitation, fear. And that's what I'm looking for.
Was there any time specifically in your last couple of fights that you've kind of noticed like... Yep, that.
So yeah. With Barboza, when I kicked him in the first 2 seconds, and then he went to kick, and I got to a range where he pulled his kick, and then he started hesitating.
And you could feel that.
I could feel it. I didn't see it, and then after the first 2 exchanges, I could see fear in his eyes for sure.
Yeah,
he was like, I can't get hit.
Yeah,
and then him and Cowboy had the same urgency, and they couldn't get kicked anymore. Like the leg kicks that I was landing were super effective, so you could see on their face that they had a different sense of urgency.
Yeah.
After 4 or 5 kicks,
Yeah, I think what's really enviable about you, to probably a lot of other fighters, is you can't fake that. You're either that type of fighter or you're not. If you go in and you just are trying to be that guy, you'll look. Because I've always noticed in comedy that it's like if you try to be someone you're not, you're never going to be funny on stage. And that's why I asked you about styles. Because Corey once asked, I was like, comics have styles. Some are very frenetic and yelling. Some are laid back and
My
stuff.
My cousin's a comedian in LA, and fighting's the same way.
Yeah.
That's why they say styles make matchups. Like that is true.
Yeah.
Styles make matchups. It's crazy how much of a different fight you could have between a group of 3 people.
So when you say your style changed a little after those losses, was it that you still kept the Gaethje style, but you kind of refined it?
Well, so I think I allowed myself to use the skills that I had been developing. So I think I was kind of rushing the process, because I've been working with Trevor for like 9 years now, and Trevor's been working with me for 9 years on how to move my feet and how to have my feet in position to get punched or punch people. But I've never understood what we were working on or learning there. And now, like with if you watch the Cowboy fight, like my feet were like such a factor. He couldn't, he really has to plant his feet and then throw. And every time he plants his feet, you move off. Now he has to now he has to unplant his feet, and he's not going to strike when he's moving. And so that was my feet is the best thing that have come from me being able to change my style.
Yeah, I stress that to everyone.
Yeah,
everyone
huge.
that I coach,
no
if you're not in position, if you're not in position, you can't do anything.
I once heard a coach say, feet do the work and then hands get the credit. And I thought that was really cool. I didn't know what it meant. I still don't really know what it means, but I thought it sounded cool.
That's as true as it comes.
Yeah, and
If you can't put yourself in a position where you can defend yourself or attack someone, then you're useless.
Yeah.
You're just a body.
Well, if you're overextending, then that means you didn't use your feet, and now you got to overextend on the way out.
Yeah.
So it's a lot.
So now you said that you can see fear in their eyes. So have you ever in a fight, and you could tell us now because you've won most of them, ever felt fear that you didn't show to the other person? Or have you just never felt fear? Because that would make you a monster.
So the fear that you see is only when you're about to finish, when it's over, when they've kind of given up.
Yeah.
That's not for a long. Like, you don't ever see that face before a fight starts, or in the first couple of minutes if you're not beating their ass. But when you do see it, it's over. So, but both times I lost weren't like that. It was kind of like I still felt like I was the hammer in the situation, and then I took the shot.
Yeah.
And so those weren't the same circumstances, but I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. I don't think anybody can do it to me, but like to lose in the way that Khabib beats people, I feel like I would probably, I may have that feeling. That's why I want to fight him.
Is to see if that feeling would come out of you. That's sick.
Well, he would have to dominate me, and I'd have to not be able to get up. That's when that would come.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to feel that, but
yeah.
But I want to stop that from happening. Is my thing.
So in the history of your fights, did you ever admit, I think I may lose this fight, but then you actually were able to come back and win? Wow, you've never felt...
No fighter, not any fighter, I would say...
So there was never a fight where you thought, like, I may not win this one in the middle of the fight because they were getting the better of you at one point, or? No, so in the middle of the fight, never, because that would again, you'd have to think to have that, and I've never had a thought. Wow. So, but before, like I said before, I always think they're better than me. So every time I win, it's very surprising, for a second. Because I've trained, you have to. I think it's something that helps me. I think we all have different things that help us, and that's something that helps me. Yeah. I didn't think I could beat Cowboy. I didn't think I could beat Edson Barboza. Edson Barboza was a scary dude. I really didn't think I could beat him. And then to beat him like that was very surprising to me. To beat Cowboy like that was very surprising to me. So it's cool to... Yeah. It's cool to see after it's over. It's awesome.
So you don't even. So it's not a matter of like you being scared or not. It's just you think that they're better and that you're gonna lose anyways.
I don't think I'm gonna lose. I just am very like Edson. I was very impressed with his skill set. Yeah. And when I look in the mirror, like I don't want to. I am good. I kick. My timing is incredible. That's what helped. That's why I'm good. Is because of my timing. But I don't, think about it like that. I just think that his timing is incredible, and so his timing is super fast. Let's see if I can beat his timing. Yeah. Things like that. Okay. But I don't think I'm going to lose. Yeah. I just think that. So you set a bar for yourself. I just think I need to be my absolute best to beat him. Yeah. Like I can't be lackadaisical. I can't. And if I'm not, then I'm going to die.
Yeah, and that helps.
Corey said that because both of you guys are really nice guys. Like when I walked in here, like honestly, it's one of those things that if someone didn't know you were a fighter, they would just think you were just a really good dude. That lived. So and Corey said that he has someone that comes out in him when he fights called the Dark Passenger.
Yeah. No, not when I fight.
Not when you fight.
No, not when I fight. It was a person in the past that would just get pissed in the training room and would just try to like
kill people.
Kill people. Yeah. That's different. No, I don't have that person in.
Oh, so that doesn't come out
anymore. No.
Yeah. No. So because I was gonna say, like when you start to fight, is it a different character that comes out? Because I noticed I was watching the Palomino fight, in the World Series, and you're going after him like a madman, and then all of a sudden there's a break, and you just kind of smiled and kind of like fist bumped him or something, and then getting right back in, and I was like, "There's a switch."
Those are the same people. Like if we were like, it's like if you were like, let's have some fun, and I'll bet you $10,000 that I could, beat you up in an MMA fight. Then we would put the stuff on, and then I would, use my skills and I would have no mercy in that competition sense. But I wouldn't want to hurt you, and I would actually work my hardest to not, if it was just like me and someone that would, an asshole, I would try my hardest to drop him with, body shots per se and not knock him out. But I would have no mercy in that situation. And so right now I would have no mercy with that. So it's not that I'm not a nice guy in that sense. It's just that that's what I've done my whole life.
That's what you've done your whole life.
Yeah, like if you want to play pool for money, like I'm going to compete my hardest. I'm going to try to beat you.
Yeah.
I'm going to have no.
But you're going to start hitting me with the stick with that.
If I play a girl, like it's hard for me to let them win. Like I don't know. It's just my family, my mom and my dad are like the most competitive people.
Yeah.
When my family went bowling, we always got in knockout, drag out fights.
But it's weird because you also said that the failures don't bother you that much. So it's weird that you're that competitive when you don't really care that much if you fail anyway. And that's
it's not that I don't care.
You're just interesting.
I know that I will never fail because of lack of preparation or choices or bad choices.
Right.
If I make the right choices and I fail, then I cannot beat myself up. And that's what it is. It's not that I'm not scared to lose. Like I don't want to lose. That shit sucks.
Right.
And I only get paid half my money, so it really sucks now.
Yeah.
And now it's a whole different meaning to lose. Because I lose half of my paycheck, half of my living.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I don't know what that was.
So if you fail, it sucks, but you let it go pretty fast, or when you feel
so there's different ways to fail. I have failed when I did not prepare and I made bad choices to be in, and I wasn't.
And you were mad at
prepared.
yourself for that.
And that was not easy to get over. That was I couldn't. It was hard to forgive yourself, but ultimately, like it's your undoing. So you don't make that decision again. So hopefully you learn from that and don't do it again.
Yeah. And what makes you happy? What makes you laugh outside of fighting? Like outside of fighting, what?
Yeah, I just like.
Where do you get your joy?
Really, it's just being around. My family is a huge part of my life, although they don't live here. But I'm always on the phone with them.
Are you?
Yeah.
You're a good boy.
But yeah, around here, I have a lot. The guys the guys you train have become your family. Especially here, because all of us come. Most of us, he's from Colorado, but a lot of us come from other states, and we don't have family here. So we have each other. So last night I had a bunch of the guys over from the fight. I go snowboarding every Thursday with Trevor. I golf every Sunday. I'm partial founder or owner of an equipment company.
Nice.
So I'm at the office every day.
Yeah.
Trying to do that. So that's what.
And as a comedian, what makes you laugh? First of all, have you ever seen my comedy?
I haven't.
Okay, I got to get you some CDs. It's pretty good.
I
Corey will never
that.
compliment me, so I kind of want you to. Corey I think he's playing it cool in front of me, but I think Corey gets very nervous being around me because I've been on TV a lot. But, who's your favorite comedians?
Yeah, he's never been on TV, so that would make him nervous.
Who?
You.
I've been on TV.
I'm joking.
Well, Fight Pass.
I'm saying it as a joke.
I don't know why I got so defensive.
I'm shitting on him, not you.
I know. I just feel insecure because you guys are way more famous than me. Okay.
No,
I'm just hey, I have been on TV.
I like
what makes you laugh?
I like when people talk about things that are true and funny.
Like what? Like who's one of your favorite comedians?
Oh God, I'm bad with names.
Yeah, I'm bad with names too. That's my problem with following people.
Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, Chappelle's okay.
Like his new one was hilarious.
I started out with Dave.
His new one was hilarious.
Yeah, I got to watch it because it's politically incorrect, apparently.
Exactly, and that's what I like.
Yeah.
I like when you're not politically correct.
Yeah.
Because that's not real life.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's not real life.
Life is not easy.
Yeah. And what's your okay, so that makes you happy. What makes you sad? Do you like to watch any sad movies? I like to ask the fighters the stuff that nobody ever knows. Like, give us something about you that people would be surprised. I cry at movies. Do you cry at movies, Corey?
I have a college degree.
Cry sometimes.
I have a human services degree.
Right.
I want to do social work.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant to ask
definitely something that when you're in that field. You try not to take it on, but those are some crazy circumstances that you can never. Most people I know have never been in those circumstances. That's something that you may come across.
What got you? Have you worked a job in that, or do you have
So I've been around. I help coach Denver West. Since I've graduated, I haven't had an opportunity because I've been fighting the whole time.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I have. The best parents that a person could have, the most supportive.
God, I hate hearing that because my parents suck.
And my best friend in college had, not the opposite, but his father was not the same father. He didn't have necessarily the father figure that I had, and he could have easily been a bad person because of the influences that were in his life, and he's not. He's the opposite. So once I understood that, for one, a lot of people don't come from I'm super lucky, and
you had
so
a good
I could
childhood.
share that. Yeah, I had a great childhood. My parents were in massive debt to take me into multiple states to wrestle and to compete, and my dad never missed a match or a game, or he always took off work somehow, some way, coverage shifts.
Yeah,
But he would take off just to go to practice sometimes. So he was just always, he's just always there.
Yeah, and it's funny, as a kid, you don't realize what a big deal that is, and then you become an adult and you realize they gave up part of their life to.
Yeah. Well, not now. Well, just part of their life, or that you are their life. That's what we were. We are their life.
Yeah.
And ultimately now it's sweet that I can pay it back. My dad works. He just retired last year, but he worked in a mine for 35 years, and so just him being able to go to fights, and for his friends to watch, him to go into the mine and have those conversations of how proud he is. I know that that's cool, and so those are awesome.
Yeah, I can relate a little bit to that because it sounds like that field interests you because your buddy, you watched a really good friend go through hardships that you didn't really have to struggle through, correct?
Well, there's a lot of reasons why. When I was a junior in high school, a really, really, really good friend. I was the last person to see him right before he killed himself. There's a couple reasons in my life that is the path I chose.
Yeah.
And I want to be, just a positive influence on, 1 out of 100. If you can, you should.
Yeah.
You said your dad is proud of you and stuff. And so does it ever hit you? Do you ever, this is what I've noticed, no matter how famous or successful anybody comes, we're still just us inside. We're still always the people that we were. Is there ever a side of you that thinks, even if it ended right now, Justin, you're a part of history forever now. You'll forever be one of the best fighters in the UFC, someone that's done some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a legacy now. Does that ever, that years and years when you're not even here, your son or your daughter will be looking back oh, that's when he fought this person, and they'll have videos of it and stuff, and that will go down. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but as you aren't that person if you're calling yourself that person, so I don't. One day I will love to look back and see the accomplishments, but right now I feel like I haven't got to my final destination, so it's hard to be content.
Right. I really like that. Yeah. Can I ask you another thing about your buddy that passed away?
Yeah.
You think that influenced any of your decisions for the future as far as because when you experienced death, because you said you were a junior in high school, so you were 16, 17?
Yeah, 16.
Yeah, so when you see something like that and that kind of stage of life, I think that it kind of changes some stuff, you think, or no?
Yeah, well, absolutely.
What did it change for you? Because I'm asking because
I gotta have parents, that made sure that they either talked to me or if they tried to give me help. I didn't need help. I never went and saw a counselor, but they were there saying, "Hey,
sure.
This is here for you." And I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's hard to become okay with death, but that's something that you better be okay if you're okay with it, or can become somewhat more. It's the most it's the most natural thing that we'll ever experience.
Yeah. Well, I'm asking you only because when I was 18, I lost one of my best friends too, and I remember that was kind of when I was getting into martial arts a lot too, and I was like, man, I'm gonna do what I want because this could all be over tomorrow. I'm gonna do what I want.
That's again why I break it down into minutes. That's something that nobody, you should never forget that life is precious and that it will be, it can be gone and it will be gone for either you or for someone that's close to you at any moment, and it will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's almost that's why you fight with that kind of wild abandon, is you just want to make sure that you put it all out there before you before you go.
It's crazy. Here's what's crazy is, if I could pick how to die, it would never be to be intoxicated and wrap my car around a pole, to overdose, to there's so many ways I don't want to go, and dying in a fight is not on that list.
That's not a big, like, you wouldn't mind that.
So, I mean, that'd be noble.
You'd really be history.
It'd be shallow, but it'd be noble. Yeah, and you make history.
Yeah, you'd make history forever.
But yeah. So that's my mindset when the fight starts.
Yeah.
So that's why. No fear.
Yeah. And so...
and if I did die, then, like, God, you hate to see it too. But, like, if you think about it, the boxers that, have passed away or fighters, they go to sleep. They don't go through any pain. They're having the time of their life, and then they go to sleep.
Yeah.
Then there's they passed away. Now, what I fear is not dying and becoming, having a serious TBI and then, not being able to function.
Yeah,
that's
me too.
the fear.
Yeah,
that's the fear that we all, driving a car. That's a fear. So as a fighter, that's what I don't want. Like that is a fear of mine. But I have, I don't ever want to. You don't want to think about that, but I have a great family, and they would take care of me so good.
Yeah.
So hopefully I make a lot of money before that happens, if that ever happens, and hopefully they, we can all cash in.
There were many.
That's what we're doing here.
Many years ago, the Tonight Show sent me to the X Games to interview people and stuff and have a fun correspondence piece with them. And the guys in the X Games, they're riding the motorcycles and they're flipping over and stuff like that. And you see them doing the X Games. One of the guys that I interviewed, a couple months later, he fell off the bike.
Yeah, he
died instantly. And I remember thinking it's really, really weird to see just life come out of a person.
When did you interview him?
Couple months before that at the X Games.
Like in what setting? In competition?
In competition,
Seeing
yeah.
How, like, what was the look in his eyes?
He was happy.
Time of his life.
He was loving it. Yeah, I don't think, and I always thought it's interesting, he never knows that it ended. He flipped off his bike. He probably flipped off his bike 1,000 times, but he hit his neck a certain way.
And he died instantly, and he did not. He didn't know what happened.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy.
It's almost beautiful.
So,
it's like...
It is. So, yeah. So I've been hit hard in I've had 2 or 3 concussions probably, but they were all, one was from fighting in sparring from Donald in 2012. Before that was from wrestling or football. Mm-hmm. And when you got hurt and you went to sleep, you didn't feel nothing. I don't know if it's ever happened to you guys, but you don't feel a thing. It's like you just went to sleep.
What, being knocked out?
Any of that. Yeah. Not being knocked out. I don't know.
Choked out.
Passing out, because you're dehydrated.
Yeah, I've been choked out one time, and people ask me about that all the time. I'm just like, no, man, it's like you wake up from a dream.
Yeah, you're asleep. It's your body has a mechanism to protect you from being fearful in that state.
Yeah.
And,
so if I got choked out, because me and Corey have
would not feel a thing.
Because we have a ongoing thing that when we get to 100 episodes, and you're number 16, so we're far away, is that I'd go get choked out, and then he'll do 5 minutes of stand-up comedy.
That's not comparable, though.
Yes, it is.
Why? Which one do you think is harder?
That's super easy, and that's gonna suck,
dude. To be choked out. He once said,
"Sit there."
No, I'll get in. I'll try to fight you. He once said, "I'll put you in Gaethje for a round," and I get to get that feeling. It will only last a couple seconds. I'm going to warn you right now. You're going to see fear in my eyes pretty fast.
Start with me for 5 rounds, or for one 5-minute round, and then he does stand up. You sparred me for 3 rounds. He does 5 minutes.
That's what I think too, and I think that it should be because I was thinking about this too. I think that it should be a smoker where people are watching. It shouldn't just be at our sparring.
Well, I agree. People should watch because I'm going to make him do it in front of a crowd.
Because I was thinking about how scary that would be.
I promise I won't hurt you. I promise it won't hurt.
No, don't say that
but I promise I won't hurt you.
You just hurt my hand earlier when you shook it. I think you're going to hurt me pretty fast.
Your head will be fine.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you tell, I've always had this thing.
Your liver's going to have to.
So, dude, I've always had this thing where I don't mind doing something if I know I won't die or be physically permanently. Because when I once, another thing I did for the Tonight Show is they sent me to the Fear Factor park, and they do this thing where they put bugs all over your face, and they were really ugly looking, like worms and stuff. And they said, "Do you want to do this?" And I said, "Can any of the bugs seriously hurt me or kill me, or they just look creepy?" And they're like, "Nothing can hurt you." And I was fine with that. I was fine with letting them, as long as I know. I think that's like the one thing that I am okay with.
I pride myself in, so a lot of what we talked about is the fact that I don't have an ego, when it comes to a A lot of things. But so if we were to spar, I wouldn't like. There's a lot of fighters that if you fought them, they would not know how to not hurt you. You know, like
Brendan Gertz.
because they wouldn't.
That Gertz would
All
murder
of them.
you. Cut your head off.
Yeah.
All of pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them can't control that feeling.
Right.
Of being, I got it. So they think you're competing and trying to take something from them. And for me, it's like, let's just have some fun.
Okay, but
I want to show you this experience.
Still, same rule. So when we spar on Tuesdays and Fridays, same rule applies. If Mitch can knock you down with the body shot, you owe him $1,000.
I'll give you $1,000 if you can.
He says that every time Gaethje comes to spar on Tuesday, Fridays, he tells everyone if they drop him with the body shot, he'll give him $1,000.
And has anyone ever collected?
I almost saw it the other day. Yeah,
Almost the other day.
So when you say who was it?
Hubbard.
I think Hubbard, yeah, he hit me with a knee or something.
Yeah, Hubbard, he'll just go crazy. He's a guy that just goes in there and gives like wild abandon, right? Like he doesn't.
Well, he's getting a lot better.
Yeah.
He's getting a lot better.
But yeah, so if you can drop Gaethje with the body
I
shot,
think I can kind of do
he'll give you
it.
$1,000.
You have
If
a
I take one of
chance.
my Adderalls and just I feel like
Take 2 of them.
just see, but I have
2 Adderall.
You'll be able to see the fear in my eyes pretty fast, though. That's what I'm scared of.
Mitchell shit his pants immediately.
That's the thing. I won't make you feel fear.
So you
You'll
don't-
have fun. I promise.
So I'm
But he
so
will-
into it.
I'll
I'm into
touch
any
your
kind of
liver.
new experience. That's what I want to do.
You're gonna feel a leg kick and you're gonna feel a liver shot.
You gonna come to my stand-up show then when I do my
Damn
fight?
straight he
Definitely
is.
gonna watch it.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to go there.
Yeah.
I'm coming to
That's
that.
gonna be the fun for me. I think I want to do it just because I was always scared of fighting when I was a kid. I was never scared of getting up on stage, but I never wanted to fight, and I don't know why. And then I watch you guys, and I'm like, oh, I think if I had gotten hit in the face more as a kid, I wouldn't have been as fearful of it. And I kind of want my son to have that now, that experience of getting.
I don't know. I never got a fight.
You never.
Not a one-on-one fight necessarily. I mean, like one small skirmish in high school, but it wasn't a fight. And then everything else was big group brawls.
Yeah.
First time I fought, I'd never been punched. I'd never been punched. I didn't know if I could get punched or if it would hurt.
So you were a wrestler, and then all of a sudden you just learned that you were a good puncher. That must have been a crazy.
So like I said, I did all sports. So throwing a punch is the same as throwing a ball. If you could throw a ball hard, you could throw a punch hard.
Yeah.
As long as you can transfer those mechanics over.
Yeah.
Kicking a ball, it's like kicking a leg. So I played all sports. And then I wrestled, and then found Trevor, and he was able to take my athletic ability and, kind of like I always say, I'm a canvas. He's an artist. So he went to art school.
What fight was your first knockout ever? Like, do you remember your first the first time you separated someone from their consciousness?
Forever, I was like, I don't know. I always tell Trevor, like, how come I'm not putting people to sleep? What's going on? What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
It was always TKOs.
Okay.
Other than so my very first fight ever, amateur. Fight. Yeah. The guy tried to I did a high crotch and he tried to triangle me and I slammed him.
Was that the outdoor place?
Yeah.
I saw the video of that.
So
yeah.
that was the first time I ever knocked somebody out.
That was my buddy Ben.
Yeah, Deonta.
Yeah. And then when was the first time you actually said, I'm going to just stand up now and see what it's like to throw? And was that invigorating?
I mean, so since day one, that was my mindset, was that we're fighting. It was never we're wrestling.
Right.
It's always like, this is a fight.
And
And so I don't know.
And then
I guess I've been a brawler since day one.
And then when you knocked a guy out, was that a cool feeling? Was that crazy that you were able to do that?
I mean, so James Vick is, I would say, the cleanest. First time I hit someone and they went to sleep.
Oh yeah, he did. Did you ever see that fight, Corey? He just kind of folds.
Everybody else kind of wilted under. Everyone else kind of wilted under pressure.
Yeah.
And so that was my first, and it happened 3 times in a row now. So.
Yeah. So maybe you've learned something.
Yeah. Pick my shots.
It's got to be a pretty cool
patience.
feeling, because I always feel like the feeling must be like. It's over and it's just sudden and it's just done and you get to go home.
And you go down, you're like, no fucking way. Yes. No way. It's over. Because then once it's over, it's over.
Yeah.
But.
And I know this may be tough because you've had a bunch, but could you pick one of your favorite fights that you've ever had and why it was your favorite?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately my last 2 were my favorite because I finished them in the first round, with skill. I didn't just get lucky per se or catch them.
Yeah.
I really beat them in a fight.
Right.
And those guys were the biggest names that I've ever fought. Those are guys that I watched, growing up. So those were the biggest for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier are two of my favorite fights ever.
Interesting.
So,
and yeah.
I had a great. Those are like, so if I fight Poirier again, I know. Like, I never once felt fear in that fight. I know he felt fear in the fight. So.
But he won. Yeah.
Yeah, but I know he. But if
I remember watching that
if we were to
fight,
sign
yeah.
up again, I know for a fact he would have fear of signing up, and I would. I never had. I was. I lost. And that would suck to happen again.
Yeah.
But there's nothing in there that happened that was like, I don't want to go through that again.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw it in
and I
that
put
fight
people
too.
through that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, out of all my fights, I think 8 people. It was their last fight ever. I'm pretty sure they were like, I don't ever want to feel that again.
Do you think
Ever.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is a gift that you have that you don't feel this, or is it just like you said, something that anybody can teach themselves? Could I teach myself to not feel fear like that?
If you started at 4 years old, and I stand on hard work, and my work ethic, and how many years I've been doing it. Again, not by my choice the first, 12 years.
Yeah.
But luckily that's what, I always say I wish they would have put a golf club in my hand, or maybe a hockey stick, or, because this is a rough way to make a living, but this is what when people say you can be anything you want, like, that's not true. But it is, like, it's true, but it's like not true. Like, you can't just decide to be a comedian, and be a comedian. Like, you decide that at a early. Like, I decided this was decided for me, like I said, at 4 years old, because I bought into what I was doing. I loved what. So this is like the competition, like the physical part. That's what I loved the whole way. Of football, my favorite part of football was the car crashes. Was the collision.
Yeah.
It wasn't the mechanics or the strategy. Per se, it was the car crash.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's just you. I think I actually get that, and I actually think that as kids, we're looking for the one thing that makes us feel special. So whatever you start to see that you're good at, that's what you start to. Because I just wanted to be special, and I knew that when I made kids laugh, it made me feel better than the other kids, and that was. And so just immediately, I was like, I'm going to be a comedian because I knew it. But yeah, I don't know if I had a choice. It
but
was
being an astronaut, like, anybody can be an astronaut, like, per se. But that's that's true, because you can if somehow that was your passion as a child, and your parents, if you were lucky enough to have some parents that understood and recognized that, and then they put you in the right direction, then you can be an astronaut, and you probably will be, because we need people to fly up there.
Yeah.
But you had to choose it early, and it had to be, it couldn't be just a thought.
That Corey.
You have to live it. I always say fake it till you make it, but like, if you're faking it every day, then you're never, you're never faking it.
Yeah.
And then you're just working to make it. So I always say fake it till you make it, which means every day, if you're faking it every day, it's not really faking it.
Yeah. Corey was one of those guys who his parents didn't put like a golf club or anything in your hand, right? They just let you find your way. I think you said your dad was a tennis player. And
I didn't. Yeah, my parents didn't really care for sports at all. I just did sports because I liked being on a team, and I thought that and I liked competing, and I thought that it was fun.
There's no one answer.
We're all so different.
We're all like, so different.
Yeah.
The craziest thing I heard the other day was, like, your perception of you is different to every single person that you interact with, even people that you make eye contact with. So like,
Isn't that crazy?
we don't even really know like who we are per se. Like, and that's just a stupid philosophical but like that's so every day you have an opportunity to be a good person or whatever you want to be.
Yeah.
To people. So
you think people are seeing you constantly, like you feel about yourself, but they're looking at you through a whole different filter of the stuff you do, and
perceptions. They're coming from different perceptions, and that part's crazy.
How many times have people said to you like, I always thought you were a dick, or I always thought this of you, and you're like, really? I didn't know you thought that.
Well,
of me.
You said, I thought you're a lot nicer than I thought, because if you see me on there, you don't understand how a person can be nice and then be that person.
I actually kind of knew you were nice, though, because I always think that the people who aren't nice, they're dicks after the fight. And I always say, like, that's one of the things that I can never understand is someone that just walks away from someone. I was even really...
And then call someone big titty.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's kind of...
Well, that's different, but... That's lack of empathy. Lack of empathy.
Yeah, there's something wrong with you. That you're not a nice person.
That's a human trait that you should have, but we don't all have.
I even thought that Jorge Masvidal kind of got my respect because of the fact that he started playing around with Askren after all that. Because Askren was so good about everything.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of let it go, and then they became buddies. And I was
It became personal. Like once it became, Askren said the wrong things.
Yeah.
Yeah, simple as that. He just said the wrong
Masvidal
thing.
comes from a different place than Askren comes from.
Yeah.
Askren comes from, I don't even know where he grew up, but he went to Mizzou.
Yeah.
It's not the same as fighting in the backyard with Kimbo Slice.
Yeah. Do you think is he done? Did he retire now?
Askren's done.
Yeah, he's done.
Yeah.
He'll probably commentate somewhere.
Do you
He's
think
commentating on Flow Wrestling right now?
Do you think that he's gonna one day look back and feel that like something missing that he didn't have? No.
Oh, he never had it. I like him, but he was never like a fighter.
Yeah.
Even in fights in Asia, like there was a couple of times when he got his ass beat, but his funkiness allowed him to overcome and beat the guy in the scoring part of a fight.
Yeah.
But he was never a killer.
Yeah.
Ever. Never once was he a killer inside of a cage. And so, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's just like, yeah, no thanks.
And you can sense that in people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you sense in me,
For sure.
Justin?
Yeah.
I think you're funny, man.
I like that.
And I think
He's a smart guy. I like this guy. First of all, you were so good too.
You're funny.
I just want to get this out of the way. I think I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not. I think it was very obvious why you weren't put into fight McGregor. I think that and then this is how we'll close it. I think the obvious thing is me and Corey were talking. It's $1 billion business. He was their cash cow. You would have dismantled him. That would have been the end of it. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I
No,
can say it as a fan, and I think that that's the point. Is they needed to get some sort of momentum going, and I think the fact that Conor took the fight shows that he started to doubt himself. Because wouldn't you immediately? Because he would immediately fight you if he wanted the best fight and the most exciting one, and he knew, and they kind of knew he was going to take down Cowboy, but Cowboy's a name, so it was a perfect fit.
I think you're a smart man.
I am pretty
I
smart.
think you're a smart man. I think you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I mean, I can say it.
It's business. It
Yeah.
will always be business. So, but I have a chance to make myself part of their equation, but that's up to me. And I will have opportunities to do that, so I just need to capitalize
Yeah.
when it happens.
Do you like me enough to let me corner you on your next fight?
No.
Fine.
No.
All right.
My dad can't even corner you. My dad begged me one time, and I was like, never going to happen, dude. Never. I was like, you can't control your emotions. It's not going to happen.
I think you won't let me because I think I see fear in your eyes right now. I think you're
If you
scared.
beat me in arm wrestling,
I can't beat you in arm
if
wrestling.
you beat me in arm wrestling, then you can corner me next time.
Sounds like a good deal.
All right, let's
Sounds
arm
like a
wrestle.
great
Let's
proposition.
end this. You'll take a video of me arm wrestling him. Let's
All
see
right.
how long I can hold him up.
Let's do it.
Okay, I'm gonna go use a baby. I'm gonna
fucking
use.
stocky muscles up, stacked up in the
I'm
back.
pretty good shape. Corey you said that I'm in better shape than people would expect, right? When you saw me when we took pictures in the cage.
Yeah, that really made you feel good, huh? You
Dude,
bring
don't-
that up every single time, dude.
Good job.
I had abs, and he was like, "Mitch is like in pretty good shape," and I was like, and
We're
then-
going to arm wrestle. We're going to figure it out.
All right, so I'm gonna go use a baby wipe, and I am just to feel clean, and then we'll do an arm wrestle on video, and then and if I
I don't have a bidet.
I won't
for
be able to get
sorry.
you down. I won't be able to get your arm down, but give me an amount of time I can keep you up before you get me down, that I'll win something.
All right. 7 seconds.
Oh, come on. I'm not going to go through 7 seconds. 5 seconds.
All right, 5.
5 seconds. All right, what do I win? I get to corner you?
No, if you beat me, you can.
I'm not going to beat
If
you,
you beat
dude.
me, you can be in the back with me. I'll make that happen for you. If
Okay,
you're not cornering
okay.
me.
I'm not going to beat you.
That's something that can't be messed with. That's like you controlling my walkout song. Like, you could offer me.
Okay,
$1 million.
how about that?
If you offer me, if you could offer
Mitch,
me,
you're
you could
acting
offer
like
me
you're about to win, man. You're not going to win this. What are you doing even like...
Do you realize I've ruined his career if I win? Like, he's
You're not going to
over.
win, bro. You're
You gotta
acting
go-
like you actually have a shot at
You gotta
this.
go back.
Give me $1 million. I would not let you pick.
Dude,
my
you have to go
walkout
back to the
songs.
mines if I win this, just so you know.
I'm ready.
All right. All right. So if I hold you up,
Send me home, baby.
if I hold you up, if I can hold it for 5 seconds, then what do I win?
$20.
I want more than $20 because I'm not gonna be able to do this. If I do this,
What if you don't? Well, we can bet 100.
This is stupid because you're not going to win. That's my opinion.
Corey, you
about
should believe me. I'm your partner,
on,
man.
man. You're your partner.
You're gonna be a terrible dad. You're not even telling me. You're not even telling me I can do it.
But now you're my son?
No, but I'm saying, like, I'm your partner. You're supposed to say.
Your support.
You're supposed to say, Justin, man, Mitch is pretty tough. I'd be a little careful. You're just going.
I just told you I will accept any challenge, so that's not going to help.
5 seconds, but then you have to arm wrestle him too.
He's not going to instill fear into me for you.
Okay, do you think Corey could beat you in an arm wrestle? Can I do a thumb wrestle?
Arm wrestling.
Don't look at my arm and then say no, bro. Did you see that? He just looks at my arm and goes no.
Because, like, can I be Curtis? No.
I beat Curtis in an arm wrestle. We just didn't play it because I didn't want to embarrass him.
Yeah.
No,
well,
I
if you
didn't.
can be Curtis, then you're going to take me to school.
All right.
Punchlines Podcast. Make sure that you like on YouTube, 5 stars on all
Justin's
the
got
other
like
things. and blah, blah, blah.
355,000 followers
Follow
on
me
Instagram.
And follow.
Tell us.
Yeah, he needs more.
How about this? If I hold you for 5 seconds, you go on your Instagram and tell all your fans that they have to follow our Instagram podcast site.
Deal.
There you go. 5 seconds. That's all I have to do.
Okay, now
I
I hope
explained to you I will have no mercy, though. I explained that to you earlier. And
I see fear in your eyes, dude. I see it. It's just really
Go
odd.
wash up. Go wash up.
Right.
Baby wipes.
All right, and then we're going to post this video after this podcast plays.
Podcast.